Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. What is up, Misfit Islanders? Welcome to another fantastic episode of what we're doing here at Misfit Island. We're talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, the latest in customer experience research, everything that's going to help us become a better society, looking out for one another, being inclusive, joining together. Can you feel the love? Look, I'm excited because I'm going to do something really helpful. I'm going to put something out in the universe that's going to help a lot of people. Today, we are discussing one big mistake that leaders make when they are looking to build company culture. I have, if you don't know my story, I have worked for large corporations, startups, I've worked for agencies, I've even worked for mom and pops. I've been in front of thousands of people. I've worked with just one-on-one, being in the streets, doing research, getting to understand people, and I try to bring that all in to a company, right? I try to help them to see people for who they are, how they respond to their products, what they like, what they don't like, what resonates, what doesn't resonate with them. And in talking with all of these people, I realized that there's an issue that leaders are missing. And I don't know what pressures that they always are under that they would push back against doing something about this. But that thing is about, drum roll, right? Maybe. That thing is all about providing a psychologically safe space. Now, we're going to talk about that subject a lot, so this won't be the first time, but the one mistake that leaders make when they're trying to build a winning, awesome, ridiculously attractive company culture is not providing the space for people to make mistakes. No one is perfect, and the pressure that we put on ourselves to be or feel or do perfect is ridiculous. It's not achievable. It doesn't allow us the freedom to experiment and explore, and that's a mistake. What we need to do both for ourselves is to embrace risk-taking and being able to fall down. You know, go back to the time when you first learned to ride a bike, if you've ever had the opportunity. I know not everyone is fortunate enough to have a bike, have access to a bike, have the physical ability to ride the bike. But for those that can identify, go back to the time when you had to ride that first bike. And there are all sorts of techniques out there. No pedals, with pedals, holding the bike and running alongside, pushing you out there and let you wobble and find your balance. The most successful stories I've heard is where there is a intimate culture between that guardian, that person, that teacher, and that child about just going out there and it's okay to fall. And I learned to ride a motorcycle, which I was, fortunate. And they said you might fall. It's almost a rite of passage to fall. And when you're first learning, you're going 20 miles per hour, maybe a little bit more, you don't want to fall. But they give you some hints. Wear thick clothing, kind of protect yourself. And when you think of yourself as going into a company, yeah, there's a sensitivity that we all have, but sometimes you have to, armor up that skin a little bit. I work in the design field, and when designs are critiqued a lot, you can feel that just burn, that ouch moment, right? Because your design might suck. It might not be great, especially when you're at the beginning of your career. But if you're in a company culture that says, hey, it's okay to make mistakes, keep taking risks, because risk leads to innovation, and innovation is what keeps us in front of the competition. So you start taking risks, you start creating that culture, and all of a sudden, from all of these different peoples, you're gonna start getting great ideas about how to really make your product, your service attractive to anyone that is looking to use it, because it's going to have all of these nuances that are really created from your team, from your people, from the culture that you've created. You give people an opportunity to take risks, and they'll start taking risks. When they make mistakes or where things go awry or wrong, or who knows, maybe even chaotic, you provide a pathway to get back on track without reprimanding, but providing correction, providing guidance. Here's what we might consider the next time. Allow multiple voices to kind of be a part of that journey. And then you have the opportunity to have these different perspectives to probably keep it within the purview of the company product culture, the thing that you're trying to create, right? So you have a vision. People surround themselves in a vision. They are allowed to take risks. There's an opportunity for multiple perspectives to point back to that center pathway, but these other ideas were explored along the way. You see, I've been a part of company cultures that did not allow for that flexibility and freedom. And it's unfortunate because I felt like I couldn't contribute my whole self, all the things, the wonderful things that make up what I can contribute to a company. And it doesn't mean that every idea that I put out there should be pursued, and every idea that I put out there should be funded, that every idea I put out there would be a success. But it's the feeling that I can bring that to the company, that they're willing to listen, really consider, maybe give an opportunity to say, well, let's give you a little bit of leeway to see what you can do with it, get people around. And if everyone is able to do that, I believe in competition and that the best ideas will win. But if those ideas are stamped down because of fear that leadership has, or because it's coming from one perspective that only represents one group, that's a problem. You know, I tend to work in predominantly white male cultures, and I might be a male, but I'm certainly not white. And there are many times when I feel like only those who don't look like me, who look like other, will get their voices heard. And I'm just being real right now. And it's unfortunate. It's not necessary, right? Good ideas can come from everywhere. Many of you also know that I was a filmmaker. And when you're on a film set, you really open yourself up to everyone contributing. Sometimes people's lives were saved because someone saw something, felt the strength, the freedom, the empowerment to speak up against a potentially dangerous situation. You're dealing with water, electricity, scaffolding, things can fall. And because people felt they could speak up, there have been times where people avoided being electrocuted because someone spoke up to say, this is not wired properly, or this is too close to something that could cause it to surge. So it's that freedom, that ability for those to speak up. And some people are bold, right? They'll speak up regardless, but not everyone is like that. And sometimes it's those quiet voices in the room that can see things that others can't, but they don't feel empowered or safe to speak up. So really giving people that room, that freedom, that strength, that empowerment to speak up, to contribute all of themselves, everything that they are capable and willing to, and then allowing some of those ideas to launch, knowing that not everyone will be successful. But in the long term, if you give yourself a little bit of margin to allow some of those, you're gonna hit upon a really big idea that's gonna surge that whole group to that next level of innovation, of camaraderie, of collaboration. And that's what you want. So leaders, hear me. Everyone out there, you're a leader. And when you're in a situation where you have the opportunity to give someone space, to strengthen them to go for it, even if it might be a mistake, you're gonna find yourself being excited about the results. Not everyone, but collectively, yes, you will be excited. Thank you for joining me on this episode, this video. Share it, like it, subscribe, turn on those notifications. You don't want to miss another one of these. This is going to really just kind of help you. And people, if you aren't in that company culture, speak up. Say, this is the company culture we want. And if it's not going to be here, I'll find myself elsewhere. Okay, everyone, go out there. Let's change the world. Let's change our companies. Let's go out there and be very, very successful. Let's innovate. Let's get crazy about it. Let's get empowered. Speak up to your leadership. Let's make it happen. See you in the next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on those notifications.